Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So 10 years ago, I cosplayed for the first time. We won't, maybe before that, but we won't go, maybe it was like Naruto OCs, that was a bad time. We don't think about those times, just bye. I cosplayed at this small local anime convention called Anime Mid-Atlantic, and I cosplayed as Misty for the first time. I just got these like random clothes out of my closet and constructed Misty and used my own hair and stuff. And from there, I just really grew into the hobby. It's really fun becoming a character that you're into, and there's just so many creative things that go into cosplay. It was just a really good outlet for me. And of course, back then I was interested in Japan. Anime was my favorite medium to consume. And I always thought it would be so cool to go to one of these conventions in Japan. And then I started to learn how different not only the conventions are in Japan, but how different the cosplay community and cosplay rules and just cosplay culture in general is in Japan. So since I moved to Japan, I've been to Anime Japan at Tokyo Big Sight, 2 Comic-Cons at Tokyo Big Sight, and then 2 smaller Comic-Cons. They're actually out of Sendai and are based in that area. They're very, very small compared to the huge hundreds of thousands of people that go to regular Comic-Con in Tokyo. I have some friends in the cosplay community who have cosplayed at Comic-Con before, but like the 2 times that I went, I completely chickened out, and I wanted to experience Comic-Con more for the artists and the art rather than the cosplay at that point. And I was just like also kind of scared of the rules. Like I didn't exactly know 100% how to go about it. But about a year and a half ago, I went to a Comic-Con event in Sendai. And when I say Comic-Con, again, it's not the hundreds of thousands of people. This maybe had like 3,000 people coming in and out. The first Sendai Comic-Con I went to was so chill. The cosplayers were so nice and chill, and they were totally fine with you taking their picture, obviously if you ask. So I decided that at the second Sendai Comic-Con event, I would try cosplaying myself. I decided to go as 02 from Darling in the Franxx. I had cosplayed it before, so I knew it would be a little easy to get together, and it's easy to move in, and it's comfortable, and that is really important to me, is comfort. So the thing is that Comic-Con in Tokyo has an English website, has English cosplay rules, but this wasn't the case for the Sendai Comic-Con event. So I had to kind of like figure things out. My Japanese is not very good. There's not a lot of kanji that I know. So I mostly just had to Google Translate a lot of the rules to make sure that I fully understood them. So the first and maybe biggest rule about cosplay in Japan is that you don't show up at the event in cosplay. We're so used to, in the West, getting dressed in our hotel rooms and then getting on a metro and then arriving at the convention center, or getting in our cars in full cosplay and walking up to the convention center, but that's not the case at all in Japan at any event I've ever seen. So the night before Sendai Comic-Con, I packed my bag with my wig cap, the outfit, everything that needed to go in there. I decided to wear the shoes that I was gonna wear at the cosplay because they were just like normal white Doc Martens-y looking kind of boots. So they seemed to be fine to show up in. But all the weird stuff I packed up, and I even packed my makeup. Like I didn't really even show up to the con in cosplay makeup because it would be weird to just show up in all this crazy makeup. So we get to the convention center, and it actually not only costs to go into the convention, but if you're a cosplayer, it's an extra cost. I'm not sure what this cost goes into. Maybe it goes into the extra space that's needed to well, we'll get there. So if you're a cosplayer, they make you wait outside in a line with the other cosplayers, and then they guide you in. The way that Japan does lines, you may have seen it before, is if you're in a line, you raise your hand. That way, because there's so many people, you stay following the line of people that are raising their hand. So we raise our hands, we walk into the main exhibit. Now, Sendai Comic-Con is not like multiple exhibits, it's just like a pretty big sized room, but just one room. So in the back left corner of the room, there were barriers set up, and that's where the cosplayers were to go into to change and do their makeup. There were actually so many cosplayers at this one event. They had a completely separate area on the back right of the giant exhibit room, where it's just like cosplayers lined up in zigzag because they were waiting to get in to the dressing room and the makeup room, so they had to wait for some cosplayers to come out before they let other cosplayers in. So I'm standing here terrified. I'm like the only gaijin in the whole room. After about 10 minutes, it's our chance to go in. So we all single filely go into the dressing room. You go into this little area that's just marked off by banners, not even in a separate room than the convention. And everyone is like, you know, they have their spats on, they have their corsets and stuff on, and all the funny little under things you have to have on in cosplay, right? People's hair is in like wig caps and their makeup's half done, and it's really interesting to kind of like, you don't want to stare because it's rude and it's awkward, but it's cool to see like probably 70 people at one time getting into cosplay in this like tiny little area. Now, mind you, this area is just a show floor marked off. There's no sinks, no mirrors, which I, for some reason, thought, maybe I'm just dumb, I don't know. I kind of expected maybe there to be a mirror that would have been helpful, and I hadn't had my makeup done yet, so fortunately I did have my can make thing here, so I was able to use like this mirror a little bit to get makeup on, but it was kind of hard because I usually do makeup in a full mirror, not a little compact mirror. It's good to have makeup wipes on you, which I'm so glad I did, because if you mess up your makeup, like you have no access to water or a sink or anything like that. All you have is you, the floor, and whatever you brought in your bag. My thing is, like, I also didn't have anyone to help me get into cosplay. Fortunately, 02 is something that I can easily get, and that was another thing that I thought about when I thought about bringing the cosplay. It was like, it's gotta be something that I can get myself into. I'm sure one of the other cosplayers would have been more than happy to help me like zip up something, but anxiety is a thing. Another thing to keep in mind is that you do not have room to even like spread your arms out. Like, I'm here, the next person is right next to me getting ready, so you don't have a lot of space to move around. I don't know if this was just like this particular convention where it seemed like there was a lot of cosplayers that weekend and then maybe not enough room for the cosplayers, but I did notice that you don't have a whole lot of room, so like you don't want to bring your most complicated thing that's gonna swish around and make a mess. So I'm over here like getting into cosplay, putting the makeup on, putting the eyelashes on, which is a pain in the butt. I was super nervous that my makeup looked like garbage because the mirror is so small. It was also so hot in there because there's so many people just like lined up right next to you. Another thing I noticed is that no one really likes to like completely strip down to their bra and underwear. It is separated by like women and men, by the way, but no one likes to get super naked. And I feel like which is weird, I feel like in the West, like you go into a gym and everyone's just naked, but in Japan you'd think it would be not too uncommon because like onsen are such a big thing. I mean, people like you walk into an onsen, everyone's just butt naked. Everyone kind of had camis on or long spats or something like that. They weren't getting, you know, down to their undies or anything like that. So I'm glad that I had a cami. I didn't have to just like take the shirt that I wore there and then like sneakily get into my cosplay like while in my bra. That would have been like kind of embarrassing because like everyone else was like super modest, even though the area was super blocked off. There was security, and yeah, it felt totally fine. So I get all into cosplay, wig, everything, and there's no chairs either. Like you have to sit on the ground, like on the cold cement ground. So no chairs. I am so glad that I used to be in marching band in color guard because I have changed in buses and like the smallest little areas ever, and that was that was good for that experience. So I go out of the dressing room in full cosplay, and they have a place where you can put your bags, and it's like a whole other corner of like half this whole room is meant for cosplay. They have you put your bag in a place, and you don't have to put a ticket or a number on it. it's a very like honor system, like don't take other people's stuff, and I wasn't worried about my stuff at all. So yeah, I just put it there with everyone else's. So then they gave us these stickers that we're supposed to put on our cosplays. I put mine, I think, on the bottom part of my uniform, and it just says cosplay event, and it just lists some rules. Like don't show up in cosplay, don't leave in cosplay, you can put your bags over in a certain corner. So yeah, I've kept this for a while. It's actually a really nice sticker to be a sticker. So yeah, this has to stay on your cosplay. So if you want to be like perfectly accurate, sorry, you gotta wear this. It's kind of like wearing your badge at conventions, so this is really important. So you may have heard some rumors that there are areas at Japanese conventions only meant for cosplay, and cosplayers aren't allowed to go to other areas. That is true to an extent for Comiket. There are certain areas where they only want the industry cosplayers and cosplayers that are working for a booth to be at certain areas, and then all the other cosplayers are generally, they stand outside to have pictures taken of them. Sendai Comiket was so much more chill, which is why I am so happy that I decided to cosplay at Sendai Comiket versus the big one in Tokyo. There was a wall along the big room where like all the cosplayers would line up, and then photographers and people who just wanted to take pictures would line up in front of them, and boom, you take a picture, like boom, do 3 poses, take a picture, the guy leaves, and the next person shows up to take the picture. So I just tried to find myself like a little spot out of the way, which was hard to do. There's so many cosplayers. But it was so nice and so fun, and I met a lot of really cool people. A lot of Japanese people are very shy, so I ended up actually adding people on Twitter later that was like, wow, your cosplay was great, loved it, but that they were too shy to talk in person. I got some really awesome photos by a really cool guy named Hiro. Thank you, Hiro, if you're watching this, for taking these photos. I love them so much. You did such a good job, and it was really nice meeting you. But yeah, I was able to go basically anywhere in that room, that giant room, and you know, I could go look at art, I could go buy stuff, but we weren't allowed to like leave the whole premises in cosplay. It's so weird because I feel like I put so much effort into the makeup and the wig and the costume, but you know, who doesn't when they're getting into cosplay? And I think I was only in cosplay for like maybe less than 2 hours, but that's what a lot of people do, is they only maybe cosplay for 2 hours or less. The convention is only from like 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or something like that, so you don't really have that much time anyway. I'll post some other pictures here of other cosplayers that I took pictures of that were so good, they were so nice, and I think that's what I love about the small local conventions. Like, maybe there's not as many artists or not as many like flashy things to see. However, the people are super, super nice, and the cosplay is really great, and it's just not as overwhelming. It feels more like a community. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is that giant props were not allowed. So if, at least at this convention, I'm sure they're allowed at like other conventions, such as the big Tokyo Comiket, but if you have like giant props, they probably wouldn't be allowed at this certain show. So you know, another reason to go with something super simple. Everyone else was in something super simple. And then yeah, after you're done in cosplay, you just get back in line. Well, you grab your bag, you get back in line, and then you go back to the dressing room, you take everything off, put your normal people clothes back on, take your crazy makeup off, because I had red wings because of 02, but you know, take your crazy makeup off, and then yeah, you leave in normal street clothes. And it's super different than what I'm used to in the States, but I had a super, super good time. I would totally do it again, but unfortunately I don't live in Sendai anymore. I live closer to Tokyo, so I don't really know what smaller local events are around here, but I would love to get the chance to do that again and make more cosplay friends and stuff. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will play with you some other time. Hopefully we do not have to deal with quarantine too much longer, and I can actually go out and make videos. Bye!